Welcome to this educational video about mathematical modeling for biological responses. Today we'll explore how advanced mathematics can help us create more accurate models for biological systems, particularly in medical applications. Many biological processes don't follow simple linear patterns. They often have complex relationships that require more sophisticated mathematical models. Let's examine a theoretical medical algorithm that determines the appropriate intensity for a certain therapy based on several patient factors. We'll start by looking at a simple linear model as a baseline. In this model, the final intensity depends on four key factors: electrolyte deficiency, patient age, solar radiation exposure, and grounding frequency. Each of these factors has a different effect on the required therapy intensity. Electrolyte deficiency increases required intensity, patient age decreases required intensity, solar radiation exposure decreases required intensity, grounding frequency also decreases required intensity. However, in reality, many biological responses don't follow linear patterns. For example, a linear age adjustment assumes that the effect of age increases or decreases at the same rate throughout a person's lifetime. But we know this isn't always true. Consider how age affects many biological processes. The difference between a 20-year-old and a 30-year-old may be minimal, but the difference between a 70-year-old and an 80-year-old could be significant. This limitation of linear models means we need to explore more sophisticated mathematical approaches that can better capture these nonlinear relationships. Let's first look at improving our model with a nonlinear age adjustment. Instead of a simple linear adjustment, we can use a quadratic function that minimizes the effect for middle-aged patients, but increases it for both younger and older individuals. The formula for this quadratic age adjustment could be age adjustment equals k times the quantity, a minus a sub 0, squared where is the patient's current age. A sub 0 is the age at which the adjustment is minimal, and k is a scaling factor to control the magnitude of the adjustment. If we set a sub 0 to 40 years, meaning the adjustment is minimal at age 40, and k to 0.005, we get a curve that increases as we move away from age 40 in either direction. Let's compare this with our original linear model. Now, let's look at another factor in our model, electrolyte deficiency. In our original linear model, we assumed that each unit increase in electrolyte deficiency would increase the required intensity by the same amount. However, in reality, the effect may be more pronounced at higher deficiency levels. An exponential model might better capture this relationship. Let's use base intensity equals C times e raised to the power p plus base offset, where E is the electrolyte deficiency, C is a scaling coefficient, P is an exponent, and base offset is the minimum intensity. For example, if we set P to 1.2, C to 3, and the base offset to 50, base intensity equals 3 times e to the power 1.2 plus 50. Let's calculate some examples. For deficiency 1, base intensity equals 3 times 1 to the power 1.2 plus 50, which is 53. For deficiency 5, base intensity equals 3 times 5 to the power 1.2 plus 50, which is approximately 70.7. For deficiency 10, base intensity equals 3 times 10 to the power 1.2 plus 50, which is approximately 97.6. As we can see, the intensity increases more rapidly as the deficiency increases, which might better model how the body responds to increasing electrolyte deficiencies. Another way to improve our model is by considering interaction terms. Interaction terms account for situations where the effect of one variable depends on the level of another variable. This is particularly important in biological systems, where factors often don't operate independently. Let's consider an interaction between age and electrolyte deficiency. Perhaps older individuals with high electrolyte deficiency need a significantly different intensity adjustment than younger individuals with the same deficiency level. We could add an interaction term like K sub EA times E times A to our original formula. Final intensity equals C sub 1 times E plus C sub 2 times A plus C sub 3 times S plus C sub 4 times G plus K sub A times the quantity E times A plus a constant, for example, if K sub EA equals negative 0.01. This means that for each unit increase in both age and electrolyte deficiency, the intensity is further reduced by 0.01. Let's see how this works with some examples. If E equals 8 and A equals 70, the interaction term would be negative 0.01 times 8 times 70, which equals negative 5.6. If E equals 2 and A equals 30, the interaction term would be negative 0.01 times 2 times 30, which equals negative 0.6. The negative interaction coefficient means that as both age and electrolyte deficiency increase, there's an additional reduction in intensity beyond what each factor would contribute independently. Finally, let's explore a weighted normalization approach, which makes the contribution of each factor more transparent and allows for easier tuning of the model. First, we normalize all inputs to a common scale, typically 0 to 1. Electrolyte deficiency from 0 to 10 becomes E norm equals E divided by 10. Age from 0 to 100 becomes A norm equals A divided by 100. Solar radiation index from 0 to 10 becomes S norm equals S divided by 10. Grounding frequency from 0 to 10 becomes G norm equals G divided by 10. Next, we define weights for each factor, representing their relative importance. Let's say W sub E equals 0.5, meaning electrolyte deficiency is most important. W sub A equals 0.2 for age. W sub S equals 0.15 for solar radiation. W sub G equals 0.15 for grounding frequency. The formula for intensity deviation becomes intensity deviation equals W sub E times E norm minus W sub A times A norm minus W sub S times S norm minus W sub G times G norm, and our final intensity equals mid-intensity plus maximum possible range times this weighted sum. Let's work through an example. For a patient with electrolyte deficiency 7, age 60, solar index 3, and grounding frequency 2, first we normalize these values. E norm equals 7 divided by 10 equals 0.7. A norm equals 60 divided by 100 equals 0.6. S norm equals 3 divided by 10 equals 0.3. G norm equals 2 divided by 10 equals 0.2. Then we calculate the weighted sum. Weighted sum equals 0.5 times 0.7 minus 0.2 times 0.6 minus 0.15 times 0.3 minus 0.15 times 0.2 equals 0.35 minus 0.12 minus 0.045 minus 0.03 equals 0.155. If our mid-intensity is 75 and our range is 25, the final intensity would be 75 plus 25 times 0.155 equals 75 plus 3.875 equals 78.9. The advantage of this approach is that we can easily adjust the importance of each factor by changing its weight, making the model more flexible and transparent. In conclusion, while linear models are simple and easy to understand, biological systems often require more sophisticated mathematical approaches. We've explored 3 ways to improve our model. 1. Nonlinear functions for individual factors, such as quadratic age adjustments and exponential electrolyte deficiency impacts. 2. Interaction terms to capture how factors influence each other. 3. Weighted normalization to make the model more transparent. And adjustable. By applying these mathematical refinements, we can create models that more accurately reflect the complex relationships in biological systems, leading to better predictions and more personalized medical treatments. Remember, the key is to balance mathematical sophistication with practical usability. The best model is one that captures the essential behaviors of the system while remaining interpretable and applicable to real-world situations.